So, yesterday, I believe, or the other day, about, 2 days ago, I gave my thoughts on the announcement of Sasha Banks appearing at Wrestle Kingdom 17 at the beginning of next month, basically the beginning of next year. And it got a lot of people talking when they also brought it up because they were wondering how could this be, since she's under WWE contract. And apparently, depending on various sources that you could believe, or you take their information with a grain of salt, her contract is basically up either around the time that Wrestle Kingdom happens or a little before. And what I mean by a little before, basically at the end of this month. Now, some of these sources that have reported this are among the likes of Dave Meltzer, who you can put an asterisk next to his reporting, because sometimes he can get it right, sometimes he doesn't. It's kind of like, I would say it's more 55-45, if you will, in favor of not totally getting it right and just going off of he say, she say, if you will, and just putting his own spin on it. Remember, he's the contributing part, I should say, of a platform known as Observers. Basically, they observe what they see and give their own opinions. And basically, if they have any information, it's because they know people close to, that they know people that are close to certain situations in certain promotions that have been in contact with them, been friends with him, that is Dave Meltzer, for years, if not decades, and stuff like that. So, like I said, depending on who you believe, basically the belief is her contract is initially up between the end of this month and the beginning of next month. Just drinking me some Dr. Pepper. Got it when me and my mom ordered Mountain Mike's tonight. But anyway, that's what he's reporting, and others have kind of reported the same thing. Now, various other reports have come out and said that not only is her contract potentially at the conclusion of this month, if not into next month, but that she's already signed a deal with New Japan. She's signed a contract with New Japan. She's just waiting to make it official, like put her name, put pen to paper, if you will, sign her name. Now, you might say, well, didn't you just say she did sign? Well, let me correct what I said there. When I said signed, I should have said agreed. That's what I should have said. But others do interpret it as signed. But in a sense, she did kind of, not physically sign, but she kind of verbally signed and verbally, agreed to, it looks like, some kind of deal with New Japan / Stardom. And a lot of people saw this, and basically a lot of folks are wondering, is she not thinking straight? Is she out of her mind? Because, everybody's pointing out that if she is agreeing to a contract with another company, nothing physically signed yet, but she's verbally signing it, by her own admission, her own voice, and verbally agreeing to it after overseeing it with her own voice. A lot of people feel that that's kind of in violation, of what she's doing right, of her current contract with WWE. And that legally, WWE could come after her, and not only potentially prevent this from happening, but they could also, maybe, to make sure she doesn't find a way to legally make it happen, they could freeze her contract. Now, some people believe that Triple H is not going to be that kind of person, that he has too much respect for Sasha to want to go out and freeze her contract to prevent her from signing with anybody or going anywhere until she fulfills her obligations with WWE. That might be true, and the same might be true for Stephanie, his wife, Stephanie McMahon. But we can't say the same for maybe Nick Khan. Now, well, I'm not saying that Nick Khan has any say, full-on authority to make it happen, but, he is a co-CEO. He is a co-chairperson with Stephanie, so he could have some kind of power, some kind of influence to where he could potentially get her contract frozen. Even if Stephanie would say, look, she's done a lot, she doesn't need to do any more, just let her do her own thing, let her explore other options. And Triple H could be the same way. But Nick Khan, maybe he would point out and probably agree that, yeah, you do make some points, but look at all these dates she has left on her current deal. If we let her walk now, then what message does that send to everybody else? So, the fact that she could potentially have her contract frozen, because in the eyes of some people, she's violating her current contract with WWE by agreeing to terms of one with New Japan. That is a reality that I think she needs to do, and needs, that being Mercedes, Sasha, needs to really, look at and evaluate. Like, hey, this is all good, this all looks good and sounds great on, all looks good and, and looks great on paper and sounds great, to her ears. But the reality is she may not be able to do it if basically it's in violation of her current deal with, WWE. But be that as it may, we don't know all the details. Just drinking more Dr. Pepper there. But like I said, we don't know all the details. For all we know, and like I've said before, and others probably have pointed out, this could be part of something bigger. Like maybe she is coming back to WWE because she has signed and agreed to a new term with a new deal, a new contractual deal, to where she's going to be allowed to do Japan, do things like wrestle in Japan and stuff, especially when she's not being utilized in WWE, so that not only can she explore these other options, have all these other different dream opponents and matches, but she can pretty much have more freedom than she's done before. And maybe in exchange, Triple H is like, hey, I'll let you do that. You want that? That's not a problem. But do me a favor, do us a favor, try to get some of these men and women to agree to show up in the Royal Rumble. Like maybe make a deal with New Japan to get some of these men and women to come in to make one-off appearances in the Rumble matches, and maybe help WWE try to start setting a foothold in Japan to create an NXT Japan. Maybe there was a mutual agreement. We don't know. I mean, we know that the word going around is that the reason that nothing's been confirmed is the fall apart on money. But how do we know that's not, false? How do we know that they didn't agree to something that's allowing all this to occur, and it's all part of a bigger picture? I think that's the one thing we have to really evaluate. I mean, yes, it's great that Mercedes Sasha is getting this opportunity, but what if this is all happening because she did agree to re-sign with the company, but have these kind of terms added to the contract, so that allows her, like I said, to go to Japan and compete for New Japan, just like Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are doing this week, and probably at Wrestle Kingdom as well, like Shinsuke Nakamura is doing for Pro Wrestling Noah. Why not let them do this and explore these other options, especially if you're not utilizing them as much as you should? And, if that is indeed the case, then I have to give a round of applause to both sides of the spectrum. I have to give a round of applause to Triple H for, allowing this to finally happen. I get to give a round of applause to Sasha Banks for standing her ground and basically not agreeing to anything until, she got what she wanted. And, that's all I can say on it. But be that as it may, even if that's not entirely true, and what people are speculating about her signing with New Japan, or potentially on the verge of physically signing with New Japan, but verbally agreeing to the contract, verbally agreeing, like I said, verbally agreeing to the contract and verbally signing to that contract, if there's any truth to that more so than anything else, and people say that's kind of violating her current contract because you need to wait till after your contract expires to do so, then yeah, there is a possibility WWE could take legal action and freeze her contract. Like New Japan could contact her one day and say, yeah, unfortunately we we can't officially sign you to a contract or anything because WWE's legal team just told us you're freezing your contract because you signed with us or you agreed to sign with us while you're still under contract to them. So there's that possibility too. There's a possibility her lawyers could, find a loophole out of that and get her, on not only get her, but would allow her to verbally agree and sign, like I said, with her mouth, and agree to a contract with New Japan, even if she's still under contract with WWE. But we don't know. We don't know if that's true or not, because if it is indeed true that, if it is indeed true that that is the case, then, like I said, she has to start reevaluating, what potentially could be some repercussions. But I'm hopeful that I think it's going to lean more towards the direction that I think it's going to lead towards, as I mentioned in one video, where I think it's the start of something bigger that's going to, under the Triple H regime, be something that Vince McMahon would never do, and that's partner with other promotions internationally and maybe even states and even North American and stateside, just to help not only improve WWE's image and show that, hey, they're not afraid of competition and that they're willing to work with other people, but also show the fact that they're willing to let their men and women be exactly what they promote them as, independent contractors. They can go and do all these things outside of WWE as well as wrestle for other promotions internationally, if not stateside, North American side. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the end result will be, as the weeks go on. Again, people are just going off verbal he say, she say kind of stuff here, and we don't know the entire truth. In fact, we probably won't know the entire truth until Sasha comes out and says it herself. That's how I look at it. I think I look at it this way. Between now and after January 4th, when, not only Wrestle Kingdom takes place, but her contract initially is supposed to be expired with WWE, I say we just keep an eye on between this time frame, when this was announced, till then, to see if any more information will come out. And if more information comes out from Mercedes, Sasha's own mouth, to confirm whether or not part of this is true, if not entirely true, then that's when we'll probably get the best answer out of any of the speculation that we have right now as to what her future is in the business. But what do you guys think? What do you think of some of this developing in the stories with Sasha, Mercedes, if you will, and where her future stands in wrestling? And do you think whether or not she's violating her current deal with WWE by potentially agreeing verbally, with New Japan on a contract deal, even verbally signing it with her own words? Or do you think maybe there's a bigger picture and maybe she did sign a new deal with WWE that's allowing her to do this as well, and also maybe, help WWE get a foothold in Japan for an NXT Japan, as well as maybe get Triple H, to get in good, allow Triple H, as a business partner to get in good with New Japan, to probably get some of the men and women of New Japan / Stardom to appear in the Royal Rumble next year. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. Live chat during the premiere. And I will talk to you later. And there will be an audio version of this on my podcast.